Ladies and gentlemen, what is up and welcome today to an early champion review for the Ragnarok version of Thor. So via the content creator program, just as full disclosure and all that, I've been temporarily granted the 4-star version, got it a couple of days ago, just to do some testing and also this review on, and I've played the absolute crap out of this character. I've done so much testing because I got the 3-star version and I was super disappointed with the champion, but that's mainly because he was missing some of the core synergies, and that's a big problem with the 3-star as well, and also kind of a problem when it comes to the 4-star version of this character. So to summarize, you know, the power level of Thor Ragnarok, in the right scenario where he has his awakened ability, he's got 60 dupe levels, and you have the Hulk synergy, he is a Demi-God tier champion. Outside of all of that, he is a very meh tier champion. Like, he's not very impressive at all. The damage is quite underwhelming just because he needs his signature ability. He needs the Hulk synergy because the Hulk synergy gives him plus 60% attack, which is just absolutely massive. So I can understand to a certain extent this champion has been a little bit controversial because you know, it's a lot of stuff that it's a lot of criteria to make the champion a champion, you know, actually worth playing. But you know, I think for some people there are going to be scenarios where they still want to play this character in various modes of gameplay. I think, you know, he is a potential option for Labyrinth of Legends. Not right now. I don't think he's kind of a 5-star featured champion to go for, but let's say, you know, in a year's time where there's champions in the 5-star basic pool, and if you get him and then get him a second time and, you know, chuck 40 sig levels in, he would actually be a really great option for Labyrinth of Legends 100% with the Hulk synergy and also some more attack increase synergies. So I think in the longer term he has some uses, and under the right criteria I believe he surpasses existing skill champions like Elektra, Black Widow and Crossbones. But you know, you kind of need to understand how this champion works. He is terrible for shorter fights as well. You know, a lot of this character, he just revolves around his special free, which ties into his signature and awakened ability. So those shorter fights that are kind of, you know, over in like 30 to 35 hits, which for the majority of people at endgame doing, you know, stuff like the monthly event quest and daily farming and even some stuff in Alliance quest to a certain extent, you don't really have the chance or need to open up this character. So I think he has some very specific uses in the game, but overall I think, you know, he's not the worst addition to the game. I feel like he just needs a lot of stuff to make this champion, you know, actually a champion that you want to play. And in comparison to the champion that was released last, which was Blade, who's just this absolutely amazing, crazy god tier skill champion, when awakened just has insane regeneration, I think that champion, you know, really overshadows Thor. I think Thor Ragnarok is kind of in the space in terms of the skill class, in that kind of ideal scenario where it's a big health boss, like an Alliance quest, if you're going for a Dormammu or any sort of boss kill, and you can really open this up, going to be absolutely fantastic. But still, I think for a lot of scenarios, he is still worse than a Gwenpool or a Blade to play. But I think, you know, in those scenarios where the fights are a little bit longer, he can be better than like an Elektra, a Black Widow, and a Crossbones. So quite an interesting champion there. So in terms of like what Thor Ragnarok does and how he essentially works, so you don't really have anything until you get to that first special free, and after the special free you get the ability to control lightning within your body for a set amount of seconds depending on the signature level. Now, the reason I mentioned at the start of the video that Sig level 60 is kind of the golden go-to, or what you should aim for, because Sig level 60 is around 20-second duration on this, so that gives you enough time to kind of get in the optimal rotation of, like, you get to about 35 hits and then you use your special free, and then that'll propel you over 40 hits. Now there's this buff called Boon of the Gods for every 40 hits on the combo meter, or whenever struck 20 times, you fill to max power over 5.5 seconds. So you use the special free as you're going over 40 hits, and then when you come out, you're gonna skyrocket straight up to that special free again, but ideally in that time you want to get in and you want to use your special 2 ability to get a huge chunk of damage, and then that'll leave you with 1 bar of power, and then the remaining time on the Thunder God's Wrath buff, you know, the roughly 20 seconds or so, that gives you time to build up to another special free so that you can chain on that rotation again and again and again. And there's some really, really good damage if you can master that, along with some potentially really, really nice stuns as well. Like, I really enjoy some of the beast mode gameplay that you can have when you actually get to that special free. I think the video that kind of made me a little bit more open to Thor Ragnarok and, you know, this character's potential within the game is, if you didn't see it, we did a video yesterday where we took Thor Ragnarok into the life transfer chapter of Act 5, and we just had some crazy fights where we got to the special 3, we fired off a special 2 straight away, and it just dealt so much damage, and then maybe if they were shorter fights, you get another special 2 just to end it. So yeah, there is a lot of really nice burst potential once you go in that Thunder God's Wrath Super Saiyan mode. But again, for those shorter fights that are kind of like below, if they're below 40 hits, or if they're below, well, it kind of depends on the power level of your Thor Ragnarok, but if they're not really that high health opponents, then this champion just is not worth playing over other options. There are just so many better options in the game. So he has some very odd, very specific uses, but in those scenarios, you know, if you don't have any other option, potentially in the future, right now, I don't really see, when this champion's being released, a lot of people gaining a lot of benefit from him. But, you know, as I was using the example earlier, in like a year's time, when there's champions in the basic 5-star pool, if somebody gets him and then gets him again, then that could potentially be somebody's option to use for 100% Labyrinth of Legends. Like, I think he would be really good for almost every fight, because that's one of also the advantages of Thor as well, maybe in comparison to like a Gwenpool or a Blade, is that a lot of his damage is off the shock. He doesn't rely on something like a Bleed. It's his base damage and also the shock damage, and also a little bit of the stun damage as well, because whenever he stuns the opponent with an armor break, that attack that's stunned additionally deals 250% of the attacker's damage. And even saying in like Labyrinth of Legends, even if you get like 10 stuns off, your opponent isn't completely immune to stun. They can still take the stun, they can still take the damage. So that's some really interesting stuff there. But aside from that, for Ragnarok, he has a 30% chance, so if you mess up an intercept and get intercepted by your opponent, he has a 30% chance to auto block. So, you know, that might be an additional kind of pro in Labyrinth of Legends for people that are just starting out and trying to get a little bit of progression, trying to get a bit used to those intercepts. Is that 30% of the time you're going to have that buffer, which is going to yeah, just kind of save you with a quick fire parry there on the auto block. The special one as well has a 45% chance to stun, plus 55% chance, so it goes up to 100% chance to stun if a combo of 40 or more hits is maintained. So yeah, maybe in the future, this could be like potentially like a Ronin alternative on longer fight. I can't really think of any great use for that at the moment, because it's only if 40 or more hits are maintained, and for you know, 100% stun chance on the special one, like a Ronin or a Stark Spidey has. You kind of want that right off the bat, so I'm not really too sure about the special one or kind of where that plays into the character's rotation. I've tried some rotations on the character where you get to the special 3 and then just try and spam as many special ones with the power gain, and just keep on spamming special ones with your power until you go up to the special 3 again, but it didn't really seem to have any more damage than, you know, the special 2 rotation that we talked about a little bit earlier. So to the best of my knowledge, that is the way to play the character at the moment. But yeah, it's a bit of an interesting character. He's got some very, very circumstantial uses. One of the potential pros as well to using Thor Ragnarok is that he has one of the highest base health pools in the game. So he's just sitting over 16,241. So that's really, really nice in comparison to Gwenpool, the 4-star, and he has about 13,500. So he's quite a chunky character if you're somebody that, you know, makes mistakes here and there. And something as well that I feel like I completely forgot to cover is the ability accuracy reduction on the shock. So after a special free, any physical contact with the opponent has a 40% chance to inflict shock. Inflicting shock has a 16% chance to cause the stun and a 40% chance to cause the armor break. So the stun, you know, that's going to be a stun and also a big chunk of damage there. And each shock stack reduces the opponent's ability accuracy by 15%. So combined with the pacify mastery, there are a lot of scenarios where you will have very close to like a 75 to 90%, maybe even 100% ability accuracy reduction on the opponent. So yeah, it can be really, really useful. I mean, for Ragnarok, he's just all about this awakened ability beast mode. So if you don't have that, again, he just sucks. He's a very, very meta champion. This champion, again, to reiterate, just relies on being awakened, getting to that special free, having 60 dupe levels, having that Hulk synergy. So it's kind of a big shopping list of criteria that you need to make for Ragnarok a very effective champion. But I don't know, you know, I like this character to a certain extent, but simultaneously, there's something about characters that, you know, require one specific synergy, like Medusa has with like Karnak and Black Bolt. I think the one with Hulk actually is pretty good for the most part because it also benefits Hulk really, really nicely. Hulk becomes indestructible for 5 seconds when below 20% health. So that's an amazing pair with Hulk, and potentially, you know, if you're running quite a lot of map 5 in Alliance Quest, I think, you know, this would be quite a good combination to run, like for Ragnarok. I assume would be amazing for fighting Dormammu, Rhino, be alright for Cable, probably not Mordo with the random stuns on the special free, but you could just, yeah, you probably just wouldn't want to use him to fight Mordo, but hey, you've got Hulk in your team, you could load him up for that. To summarize, under the right conditions, Thor Ragnarok can be a Demi-God tier champion. Really, really effective damage dealer on kind of those long health fights where you have good opportunity to ramp up and use multiple special free attacks. Aside from that, if you don't have him awakened, if it's a short fight, if you don't have the Hulk synergy, this champion sucks. He's not great for the shorter fights, but he does have a very specific use in that regard. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still a little bit conflicted on exactly how I feel about this character. So part of me, you know, I kind of like the potential for this character for the future. You know, I think he could be a good 5-star option for the people to get him out of the basic pool when he's added in there, for doing stuff like Labyrinth, but at the moment, I don't really think he's going to change the game a huge amount. But anyway, I'm very interested to get your thoughts. Do you like Thor Ragnarok? Do you not like the character? What about the character do you dislike? Is there the millions of criteria to actually make him a viable character? Because that's probably my biggest pet peeve of the character, is that I like champions like Starkanaut and Spider-Man that you can just pull on their own. With Starkanaut, Spider-Man, and Blade, you just pull them on your own, and boom, you've got a great champion. Amazing. Get him awakened? Oh, it's even better. It's a great time. But for Ragnarok, it's just so much stuff. Not really the biggest payoff in the world. And if you're thinking, you know, should I go for this champion right now as a 5-star? The answer to that is no. Go for Starkanaut Spider-Man. He's going to be a much better option. So right now, if you're like, oh, should I gamble? No. Starkanaut Spider-Man, he's your boy if you want to get through Labyrinth 100%. But yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, leave your thoughts on the new Thor in the comments below. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.